Welcome to an episode of InRange. We have reached peak gamer country now, talking about a 2011 Staccato?
No, this is a MAC DS9 made in Turkey, imported by Military Armament Corporation, which is part of the SDS Imports family of companies.
So a Staccato?
Nope. The Staccato will probably cost you about 3 to 4 times as much as this one does. This has an MSRP of $1099 and a street price around $900 to $1,000.
What's the difference between this and a Staccato?
I think we are benefiting greatly from the exchange rate with Turkey on these pistols. But so far it's been a quality piece, and I personally have put about 1,500 rounds through it so far with 0 malfunctions.
The point I'm trying to make is functionally it's a Staccato.
2011, because there are other companies that make those besides
Excuse
Staccato.
me, 2011.
Yes.
So it's a double stack 9mm magazine, which was originally a 45 mag?
Yeah, so when 2011s first came into being, they were all 45s, right?
Okay.
So that using the same general size of grip frame, when they went to 9mm or 38 Super, the magazines were kind of like squished down in the middle to accommodate the smaller cartridges. And you can see that still evident in the magazines used in this gun today.
So what you get is 1911 style ergonomics and accuracy if you do this right. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But with the capacity of a 9mm and the recoil of a 9mm.
Yep.
Which makes it really distinctly a competition gun. Because no one's carrying this. Well, someone is, but I don't know who that'd be.
Well, there has been a big push to law enforcement by Staccato for their pistols. And accordingly, there's been a surge in demand for this style of pistol, generally speaking.
Okay.
And I think MAC and some others have addressed that market desire at a substantially lower price point than, $3,000 to $4,000 and waiting weeks to months for your gun to show up.
Interesting. So why don't we put this down on the table and maybe you can tell me what it is about this that makes this special versus just a 1911 turned into a 9mm. Fair?
Okay. Starting on the slide comes milled to accept optics plates. It's shipped with a iron sight plate because the iron sight does come off with it. So it came with the iron sight plate installed, and it came with an RMR style plate, which I've installed a Holosun 507 comp on. That was well suited for this particular pistol. The barrel's 4 1/4 inches, and it is a bull barrel style, so it does not use a bushing. Disassembly requires a tool to take the recoil guide rod assembly out, and then the barrel comes out through the front. In theory, what this does, without having a bushing there, is make the gun more accurate than it would be in a bushing system. It comes with an oversized safety that is ambidextrous, so left or right-handed. It's huge, hard to miss, and it's easy to ride the safety to keep it off when you're shooting. It's a good thumb placement. Flat trigger, as we talked about in some of the shooting footage of this. Flared mag well, and the magazine well is compatible with all of the normal 2011 Staccato and Prodigy magazines. It ships with 17 round magazines, but of course you can get 21 rounders and higher capacity for various competition divisions. So because this particular model is a 4 1/4 inch barrel, finding a holster off the shelf for it was a bit challenging. An easy way to go is the Blackhawk Omnivore. This one is set up for a X300 Surefire light, so it locks in on the light, and that makes it easy to get a relatively inexpensive holster that works with it, and then it releases with your thumb there. I also ordered a holster that's advertised for the Staccato 4.4 inch barrel, and of course it works with the light mounted and locks in on there, and it also protects the optic. The downside to this is with the 4 1/4 inch barrel, because this holster is made for the 4.4 inch, it kind of is loose in there without the light on it. More loose, I should say. Counterintuitive, even though this has a Picatinny rail on the dust cover, I had to use the universal insert on the Surefire light to actually fit on the rail. If you use the Picatinny insert on the Surefire light, it won't actually time out and fit on there properly. I have not performed any modifications to this gun. I wanted to make sure that it ran reliably out of the box, and as I mentioned, 1,500 rounds through it of various FMJ 9mm so far, and it has been perfectly reliable.
It does have a strong spring, but I think that makes sense for what it is. And if you kind of death grip it a little more, I was able to stay on the dot a little better. Once again, shoots great, and the recoil mitigation's clearly like there. Okay, it absolutely shoots nice. I mean, clearly, I was doing kind of a double spinner there, effectively, the first time I used the gun.
Yep.
It's heavy. A lot of mass.
But for a competition gun, that's good. Keeps the muzzle flip down.
Well, I mean, that's what you said, like they're pushing into the military and law enforcement, or law enforcement market, I guess you were saying?
Special operations guys.
Fair
too.
enough. Like, would you?
I don't know.
You're not that guy, right?
I'm not that. I'm not that guy. But for a competition pistol, like I like it. I took it to a match without shooting it at all in iron sight configuration, and that was kind of funny because it was one of those stages where like if you missed it all, you had to run a lap.
Yeah.
So I figured out more where I was holding with that 12 o'clock 1911 hold with the iron sights. But after that, I'm like, you know what? This gun's meant to have an optic on it.
Yep.
So I put the Hollow Sun 507 comp on it, and I really enjoy shooting this thing.
Changed everything. Yeah, I remember you talking to me about liking it quite a bit.
Yeah, so much I actually bought one of their other 5-inch barrel models from TSOS, which sister companies, kind of my understanding, to give that a try as well. So.
All right. Well, I don't know what else to say. I like it. I like the flat trigger. If I wanted to have a dedicated competition gun, I think this is a great choice. I would not want to carry it.
You know, the thing that kept me away from 2011s as a competition shooter for so long was the cost. Not just the cost for the gun,
sure,
but the cost for the magazines.
Okay.
Because if you're really using these things, you want 5 or 6 magazines minimum, and magazines are consumable.
Yep.
And you know, the magazines themselves for 2011s were over $100 in some cases.
Man.
And you had to like tweak the feed lips to get them to be reliable. And now you can buy reliable magazines like for $50 to $60, more expensive than Glock magazines, but they work and you don't have to mess with them.
Checkmate mags.
So.
And they just work. You just put them in and go.
Yeah. So like now that you have a more economical gun and economical magazines, I think this is more interesting, and it's going to be more interesting for a lot of people to give it a try.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. It's definitely a contender. And it brings a lot of the things to the table that we've been trying to do. Like, I mean, how many years did you run a modified Glock with a red dot and all that kind of stuff? But this brings it right to the table right out of the box.
Yeah, and I didn't have much of a hard time adapting to acquiring the dot on the draw with this gun versus, like, say, when we did the Beretta 92X Performance.
The Beretta's dot's so high.
Yeah, it was way high. This felt very natural to me. Pointing and acquiring the dot with this was very natural. I didn't have to retrain much to get used to it.
Now, how did we acquire this?
Max sent it to me, but if we want to keep it, I got to pay for it.
And you're going to keep it?
I'm going to keep it. I'm going to pay for it and keep using it. So.
Fair enough. So in that regards, what do we say? Of course, thank you for supporting the channel and patreon.com/InRangeTV, ammunition, ability to do stuff like reviews like this, an unbiased review. In fact, so unbiased that you've decided to actually buy it for yourself.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool, and it's you, the viewer, that make that possible. If you want to consider it, again, patreon.com/InRangeTV. If you can't, subscribe, share the channel with your friends, because the algorithm is worse than ever, maybe? Is that the way to put it? Worse than ever. But cool gun, and it was fun to shoot, and right out of the box, for me at least, I was doing really well with it.
Performs well, and the most important thing with any of these is it's actually reliable.
So. Oh, that's a good point, too. Well, stay tuned for more.